Hi Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I am going to be doing your August 1st to the 15th, 2021 reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, and I upload all the time, just hit the bell notification button. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's let the bowls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. Capricorn. August 1st to the 15th, 2021, Capricorn. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Capricorn. August 1st to the 15th, 2021, Capricorn. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Capricorn. August 1st to the 15th, 2021, Capricorn. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Capricorn. August 1st to the 15th, 2021, Capricorn. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Fantastic. Now the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have the Empress, which is beautiful, beautiful creativity coming forward. And then we have the Tower. It's shattering and change. So there's something that we're giving birth to that changes the whole entire scenario for us. Now, it could be birth, which absolutely changes everything without a doubt, but it can also be emotionally, creatively, that we're stepping into a power and we can't go back. Like divinity has thrown us out of our comfort zone in a very, very real way. And it's saying, this is where you're supposed to be standing. Why aren't you standing there? Why aren't you embracing this new power birthed within you? It moves us then to the Five of Wands and the King of Wands, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Now, if you're born on the cusp with Sagittarius or you have fire sign energy within your chart, this is going to be coming out quite prominently. But also during this time, you're going to find, Capricorn, that earth sign energy of stability and security and like putting down roots and really feeling assured in things is kind of shaken during this time. You have a lot more fire running through you. So meditation or going on walks or doing something that centers you and puts you in the glory of yourself, that is going to be so important to just be able to channel and tune back in to yourself and what you desire. Because from there, great passion is going to come forward. But if you don't make that conscious effort during this time, you can just be absolutely overthrown with fire and change and chaos, and it all just becomes a bit too much. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles, Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This, of course, represents you. In the minor arcana, you are represented by the Devil. In the major arcana, slowly and steadily building. building towards your goals, building towards what you desire, building towards what you need within life. And that brings you to harvest, which in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is judgment. It's a sense of, this is my bounty. This is what I worked so hard for. This is the fruits of my labor paying off. And that's going to be really quite beautiful. There's a time here of celebration. It moves us again to the Tower. So we have a double Tower time, which can make us feel emotionally very vulnerable, especially paired with the Five of Wands. But what we're going to see here is that we need this change, especially in the public arena. We're going to be pushed out of our comfort zone. This might be something very small, like somebody saying, okay, you're going to go and give this talk, or you know what, why don't you go and take notes on this, or go to this meeting, or meet with this person. It's going to be really good for you. And you're going to find that even though it, like, quaking in the boots makes you scared type of thing, it is going to be the best thing for you. And this is going to be something that pushes you out of your comfort zone. It can be something very big, it can be something rather small, but it starts the avalanche of change coming forward within your life. And then it brings us to the Knight of Cups. Emotionally, we have to let our emotional understanding, our emotional power of self, our emotional realization really come to the forefront in the waking world, because this is going to be a time where we can have really hardened our hearts and said, you know what, it doesn't matter what I instinctually feel, it doesn't matter how I want to move forward, what I desire, what matters is that I have to protect myself. And during this time, we're going to find that yes, having the armor on is important, because life can be toxic at times. Just the sheer act of getting out of bed can be absolutely overwhelming some days. But this is a time where we have to look at our hearts and what we desire and say, I'm not letting all the negative energy come in and smack me, but what I am doing is I'm armoring myself, making sure I am secure, making sure I am safe within my power, and I am moving forward towards what I love, but also more importantly, towards who I am. The change that is coming through, for some of us, it can be such a deep, powerful change that it could have changed who we are. It's kind of like getting laid off or getting broken up with, or even just being pushed out of our comfort zone in a way that we then start playing, mind games on ourselves, thinking, oh my gosh, I did such a terrible job. Everybody was laughing at me. I couldn't have done well even if I tried, type of thing. Why was I set up for failure? And we really have to step back and not be overly emotionally critical on ourselves, and not be so sensitive during this time. Because it's going to be really easy to just move forward in the chaos within us, let it take control like a wildfire, and just absolutely bring us to our knees. So that's going to be something that we have to be very mindful of. We're rooted with beautiful sacred feminine energy, but we do have sacred masculine energy coming forward really quite predominantly during this time in more subtle ways. So we have to find that beautiful balance of the sacred masculine, of the sacred feminine. One cannot exist without the other. Now let's look at the energy we have to be mindful of during this time. What is the energy that Capricorn needs to be mindful of? August 1st to the 15th, 2021, Capricorn. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. And this is the Hierophant. This is Taurus energy, but this is also a sense of being, and this is an earth sign thing, it's being too ingrained in the institutions of things, in this is the way it has to be, this is the structure, this is how it has to be built, block by block, step by step. And this is going to be a time where we can just be easily pulled into this, and also just really admire people who play the game really well. And there are some people who just do. They can play the game of business. They can play the game of, power super, super well. And we can think, what am I doing wrong that I cannot play this game as well as them? And it can simply be that that's not my path. That is not my path of power. Where is my path of power? Because it could be through the spiritual. It could be through the creative. It could be through the intellectual. It doesn't have to be blazing the road of power in the way that we all have, giant buildings and everybody knowing our name through the amount of financial success that we have had, or the amount of financial conquering we have done. So do be very mindful of this, and the fact that we are just going to be in such admiration of people who can make it that way, or at least have the green-eyed monster of jealousy kind of come up and be like, oh man, why can they do it and I can't? Well, why are we looking for somebody else's blessing? Or it could have been even somebody else's curse to be upon us. There needs to be the sense of, I'm embracing my power. The Hierophant is also telling us that we're going to have a tendency during this time to ignore what is most sacred, meaning ignore what is most powerful and beautiful and sacred for us. And that will be, again, very detrimental. Now let's move to our chakra energy. Capricorn, August 1st to 15th, 2021, Capricorn. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. Guide this reading. Clarity, the third eye chakra. And this makes sense because this is almost something that we're afraid of at times, to channel that clarity, to have the insight come our way, to see clearly without any preconceived notion or ideas or, prejudices holding us back. And by prejudices, I mean our own fears. It's kind of like when I was little, I was deathly afraid of mice. I don't know why, but mice just absolutely freaked me out. And it's looking at it now and being able to see a mouse and not just absolutely be terrified of it. It's something of looking at what could have been a phobia, but what fears we had and the demonization of those fears, thinking, oh my gosh, mice are absolutely terrible. And now being able to see them as cute beings that are attempting to exist themselves. So this is going to be a time where that's very important to us. Very important to open up our eyes, open up our third eye, open up the sense of clarity, open up the sense of understanding, and move ourselves forward in that knowledge, in that power, in that wisdom. It moves us to the Empress. And the Empress is this creative, beautiful force. But it's also claiming a voice and a throne we didn't know we lost, and we never knew we had. All right, so this is going to be a time where we need to channel that energy of creativity, of inspiration, of ideas, of pushing outside of the norm, of saying, this is me, this is power, this is my integrity, this is what I desire, this is what I'm creating. And it's really going to rock our world. This is why for some it can be figuring it out, or having a newborn baby, or having even a toddler or just a child. It changes your life forever. And you're looking at it and you're like, I want to go back to the way things were when it was simpler at times, just sometimes where you had more freedom and you can get out of the door without it taking, 500,000, minutes to be able to get everything all packed up. But this is a sense of being able to honor the creativity that we're in right now, the place of beginnings and understandings for our own sense of self and for the world around us. Now, if this is creativity coming forward for some, which it definitely is, it's understanding that this is going to make us see things quite differently than we have seen things before. And creativity is always a sense of vulnerability. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a physicist or a mathematician or, a dancer. If you let yourself be open to the creative energy that is around you and birth forward the ideas, it always puts a level of vulnerability that shakes your world, that has your heart and soul more profoundly put in things than it does for others. There's not going to be that level of detachment that some people seem to live in, right? So this is going to be a time where you have to understand that feelings are going to be quite intense, that things are going to need to come forward, and as they come forward within us, we're also going to feel this hypersense or this heightened sense of vulnerability. And the Tower isn't necessarily a bad thing, and I don't see it as a bad thing during this time. It can be taking a Tower time that we lived through, a time of tremendous pain and change and hurt and overwhelming emotion and feeling. And now we're starting to see what comes out of it. Now we're starting to see the beautiful birthing of ideas and passions and desire, but also our own physical being that starts to come out of this dark time. It's kind of like the flowers blooming after the winter, after a cold, harsh time where we are laid bare and pushed to our limits, especially like an ancient winter. We're going to find ourselves now being able to come forward into the birth of spring, come forward into the birth of ourselves. And this is going to lead us to the King of Wands, of passionate transformation, of a sense of not being afraid to roll up our sleeves, not being afraid to look at what we want in a very different light than the way that we had looked at it before. And so now we start to see ourselves more openly and more honestly. Now we start to embrace that sacred masculine energy where we have such strong sacred feminine energy here, and say, how do I have these two come together so that I can stand in my power and not doubt myself, so that I can move forward with a ferocity of spirit. And that's not to downplay the sacred feminine. It is to say that the sacred masculine moves forward with a bit more want to say like, it's a bit more of a, is it serpent? It's a bit more of an acidity. It's like just pushing forward to where I need to be and not being as concerned with everybody's emotions around me. And it doesn't mean that, the Empress can't be a storm and a hurricane, but the King of Fire is going to much more easily reach that place of hurricane status first. So this is going to be a time where we need to channel into that intensity, especially since we're going to have a tendency to channel into that intensity for battles, okay? For battles within ourselves, for battles externally, where we get too involved in gossip or, wanting to either change people's minds or saying, why do people think this way? And I'm going to get down, move down this rabbit hole of being too, something or another, or having my whole identity be about a battle. Now it is time, and I'm being called to look at the chaos within me and understand it. Understand that maybe I might not be the most confident of people, and so I need to be kinder to myself with that when I step forward in my creativity, when I step forward in my passion. At times I might not be the most considerate of people, so I have to be more aware of that. Not that I become so considerate that I lose my own voice, but that I learn how to bend and move with the energy of spirit around me. This is going to be a time where we need to find that balance, that harmony, that flow of our own ideas, our own self, and our own desires, or else again the flames can consume us. And we have to be very mindful of that, because the flames, when you have a nice fire going, that changed the course, first of all, of humanity. It really did. But it also is so comforting and so beautiful. But when that fire rages out of control, it is too much. And so we have to be mindful of that during this time, that we embrace the power of this flame, this change, this integrity, this desire, and that we move it towards this place of evolution, of greater understanding, knowing that we're on the cusp of something more, moving us forward. And it brings us then to ourselves. It brings us to the Knight of Pentacles, where we slowly and steadily move forward to prosperity, abundance, and bounty, where we slowly and steadily start to see what we have been building and what we have been doubting, starting to mean something, starting to be more within us than we had thought it would be. And it really starts to open up the door to our own ideas, our own desires, and where we want to be within ourselves. The Knight of Pentacles is also saying, what is it that I am defending, that I am growing? What is it that I am defending within me? Is it making me soar in the sky like the bird? Or is it a time where it's more sedentary, where it's like a seed being planted within the ground? So this is going to be a time really to look at what we're nurturing as we move forward, and also to be really open and honest with ourselves, not to the point of being brutal, but to the point of calling ourselves out when we have a tendency to be too hard, when we have a tendency to say, well, this is a battle, life is a battle. If you're not going to, eat, you're going to be eaten. And now it is a time to say, what am I nurturing? What am I nurturing so that I can move forward in the harvest of my existence, in the harvest of my heart? What is it that my heart wants to see me pulling forward, moving forward with, that really starts to call forward a bounty, that really starts to open up my ideas and my wonderment, and see me rising out of darkness, rising out of famine to embrace a feast? And it brings us then to the Tower, this harvest that's within our hearts, this harvest that's calling our hearts forward, rocks us once again, because we're going to have this tendency to just be really hard on ourselves, to call forward all the doubts, all the fears, all the mistakes, all the hardships, all the pains, all the times that we couldn't, and say, but this is our truth. This is what I desire. Not I desire, but my subconscious is so used to that this is what feels comfortable. And I'm releasing the anxiety. I'm releasing the doubt and the fear. And I'm saying, but this is me. And this is where I stand, because this is me. I cannot be anybody else. And what's more important, do you want to be? Do you want to throw away every single gift divinity has given you? Undiscovered gift, discovered gift, gifts to come, to be somebody else. Because everybody has their demons and their problems and their tower times and the hurts and the pains and the fears that they grew up with. And what makes their burdens better than ours? And once that realization comes, the Knight of Cups comes in and says, I'm opening myself up to my emotions. I am flooding myself with my heart and my soul and my desire. And as I do so, I'm submerging myself in the power that is me. And yes, I wear my armor because the world can just be cruel. But I will not let my armor harden me to the point where I do not get to experience the joy and brilliance and beauty of my world, of myself, of what makes me smile and laugh and feel free. This is a time where the heart calls. And it's after the shaking moments, it's after the painful moments, it's after the overwhelming moments. And divinity says, can you answer that call? Because if you can, especially in the public arena, there's going to be a ferocity to you. There's going to be a focus to you that nobody will question. Nobody will feel as if they really want to come against it. Some people might try. They might see that weakness of the tower and say, okay, there's an unsteady foundation somewhere. I'm going to go for you. But they're going to be gravely mistaken because there is this ferocity of emotion. There's this understanding of self that very few people have, that if you focus upon it, that if you focus upon the essence of you and what you desire, Capricorn, you can be unstoppable. Your subconscious energy to be mindful of is the Prince of Pentacles, a blessing in our heart, but also something, again, that we are to be mindful of as we're moving forward. Because our heart, slowly and steadily building, slowly and steadily protecting, is going to be very drawn to people who mirror that. But not all people who are building something good. And so, during this time, it's not simply going to be all action is good action. All focus of determination and, possession of power is good power or focus of determination. And so this is going to be a time where we have to be very mindful of who we let in and how we step back. Our subconscious chakra message is communication, the third chakra. This is going to be a time where communicating is highly important. Talking, figuring things out, journaling, talking with others, that's going to be key. And then with communication, when we are communicating, when we have had the proper rest, when we're really in our element, actually not only when we've taken care of ourselves, but also when we haven't, we're going to be picking up on so much that if we're not taking care of ourselves, this can become very overwhelming and astoundingly draining. Because you're not only seeing what the person is saying, you're seeing their aura, you're seeing their energy vibration, you're feeling, you're taking in everything that is said and unsaid. And you're really embracing the statement that the true meaning is between the words. And so you're going to be knowing more than they want you to know. And it depends on how healed you are, how you are going to be able to take this. If you are emotionally fragile, if you are, like you haven't been sleeping and you're kind of on edge and everything's just too much, there's too much stress, there's too much anxiety, this is going to be very challenging. So do be mindful of this. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Because if you're taking care of yourself, you'll see that you can connect so much more easily, so much easier. It moves us then to our subconscious rooted message, which is the Death card. And death here is, of course, Scorpio energy, but it's also a sense of transformation and being able, which we can see, absolutely, you have this birth and this beauty coming forward with the Empress, and you have change and falling apart with the Tower. So they are quite contradictory cards, and it means death. It means the dying away of the old self, the rebirth of the new. Can you handle it? Is it going to overwhelm you? Is it going to be a time where it's too raw, it's too real, it's too much? And that's going to be something that takes soul searching to understand, but also transforms the way that we move forward during this time. It's not going to be the same, and we can mourn who we once were, or the way the ideas didn't come together earlier. But what Spirit is saying is, why are you wasting the energy in the battles of the mind, of the past, of what cannot be changed? Embrace the change and the power and the ferocity, which is what the King of Wands is saying, of the now, of the power of self and the determination forward. This leads us to our subconscious inner self. And that's the Ace of Cups. God, Source, Spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, is handing you a gift of healing, beautiful love. Because we have the Knight of Cups within this reading, though not of the same deck, okay? We are taking it, but not as fervently as if it was in the inner self, as if it was from the Llewellyn Tarot deck. This is going to be a time where we can find ourselves being emotional. We can find it at a time where we need to cry, or we need to heal. We need to be by the seaside, or go for walks in nature, or, sit out in the sun, or, play with our dogs or cats or whatever, to be able to embrace the healing, to be able to take out the stagnant energy within us and let the flow of energy, let the flow of healing come forward. This would also be a great time if you do the singing bowl, or if you do Reiki energy, or know somebody who does, or massages, or something of that effect, just to relieve stagnant energy, to move things along. Acupuncture would also be fantastic for this. It moves us then to our subconscious emotional self. And that is the Ace of Wands. Again, we're taking the gift, but because it's not of the same deck, of the Green Witch deck, we're going to find that we're not taking this gift as ferociously as we might. This is a gift of creativity, of insight, of ideas, of passion, of desire, of focus, of movement forward. And this is the reason why we get out of bed in the morning. And this is going to be very much connected with our hearts. Our hearts are going to be very connected to our passion, to what we desire. Those times where you can walk around just kind of like existing, feeling a little bit numb, going through the motions. This is a time where, if that is the case, if you're just going through the motions, Spirit is going to call you harder and harder towards bigger things, towards powerful things, towards passions and desires and determinations that just rock your world. And so be prepared for that. Spirit wants you to fly free and to spread your wings. So we have two beautiful gifts from divinity coming forward, and then we have this change. So let's see what the public arena has to say. And it's the Page of Cups. Again, taking the gift of healing that's coming forward. As we are a defender of our emotions, this is also saying we are a student of our emotions. Being aware of our hearts, being emotionally tuned in, that's going to be the game changer during this time. This is a time where our hearts need to be open, need to embrace what we desire, need to, look at things more passionately and powerfully. We're going to learn so much if we let ourselves be guided, if we listen to ourselves. This is going to open up our world. And so the Page of Cups comes forward and says, be a student. Be a student of your energy, be a student of your emotions, be a student of what you desire. Be a student of the wind and the rain and all the different ways that divinity brings its messages to you. Open up your heart and see the different path your heart wants to walk. See the way your heart wants to move you forward, Capricorn. All right, Capricorn. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the change that comes and the beauty that rises from that change. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony.